What's up guys, today I'll be showing you how all the buffs work in Destiny 2 and how they work with each other and by themselves. The majority of this video will be a lot of damage numbers and testing the buffs and also doing multiple buffs together. So it's going to be a lot of numbers, but at the end of the video I will list the 3 major takeaways from this video if you get lost in the middle section. But for the people that like to watch the actual testing of all the individual things and also stacking different things together, go ahead and watch that. Anyways, let's get right into this. So first, I'm going to show all the individual buffs you can get normally just playing the game, and also what percent of a buff they are. So the first one I'm going to do is actually no buff and just shoot the guy. As you see, that's the number I get with no buff at all, so that's going to be the base damage going forward. The second clip is going to be with Empowering Rift, which is 30%. Once he gets closer, you actually see the full number. And I'm not going to explain all the math of every single buff right now. You can do that by yourself or just trust my math. So right there is 30%. The next clip will be Trench Barrel, which is also 50%, which is on the EP shotgun, which is why a lot of people want to go for that. Next up we have Melting Point, and that is another 50% buff. As you'll see right there, the exact same number. Then next we have Tractor Cannon, which is another 50% buff, as you saw right there, same number. Also there is Tether, which is a 33% buff. But wait, why did I get the base number right there? Tether does not apply to power weapons. So as you see, I'm going to use an energy weapon now. I got 34 without the tether, and with the tether, I got 45, which is 33% more damage. Now I'm going to do 2 buffs at the same time, and even more than that. So, one thing to note about multiple buffs in this game, they do not stack, they multiply. So if you have 2 50% buffs, the end result is not going to be 100%, like most people think. The end result is actually going to be 125%. So the best way to figure out what the number of multiple buffs will be is to multiply them together. So a 50% buff would be 1.5, because that's how much of the base damage you're doing. You're doing 1.5 times that of the base damage. Then multiply that by another 1.5 if you have 2 50% buffs, which the end result is 2.25. So you'd be doing 2.25 more damage than the base. The first one will be Rift and Melting Point, which is a 1.95 modifier. Then we also have Rift, Melting Point, and Tractor Cannon, which is a 2.925 modifier. Then we have Rift, Melting Point, Tractor Cannon, and Trench Barrel, which is a 4.3875 modifier, which is the highest normal modifier you can get in the game, excluding raids and strikes. Then another thing to mention is that Tether does not work with Melting Point. So earlier with just Tether I hit 45, and now with Tether and Melting Point I still hit 45. The Tether cancels out Melting Point all the time. But with everything else in the game, like a Rift, it works, and also with a Tractor Cannon, it works. As you wouldn't expect it to work, they multiply. Then we can start throwing in some strike modifiers, such as Heavyweight, which I'll show here. This is without Heavyweight, I hit 9,000. Then with Heavyweight here in a second, you'll see I hit 18,000 and something, so it's exactly a 2x modifier for Heavyweight. Then one that I don't show is also the Singes, which is a 25% buff, so 1.25. So this first clip is just me shooting at them to get the base value number that we have going forward, which is 5223. That will be the number we're going to be using going forward to calculate all the other things. So this first clip is with Melting Point, Heavyweight, and Void Singe, which is a 3.75x modifier, as you saw right there. This time we're going to use the previous 3 plus Trench Barrel, which is a 6.75x modifier, as you saw right there. And lastly, we're going to use all 4 of the previous plus Rift and Void Singe, which is a 10.97 modifier. But wait, that's the same number. So what's going on here? After crunching numbers for an extremely long time, I came to the conclusion that 6.18x is the highest buff you can get in the game, which is what leads to that 32,000 number you saw. So the last 2 clips where I had a 6.75 and a 10.97 modifier, it didn't even matter because they were above 6.18. That's where it caps out, which is unfortunate, But the only way you can get above a 6.18 modifier is with heavyweight in Prestige Nightfalls or Heroic Strikes. So there's really not that many ways to even get above that modifier in the first place in the game. So it's not like we're losing a lot of damage all over the place. So there's three major takeaways from this video. One, damage buffs multiply, do not stack. So for example, two 50% buffs on top of each other does not equal 100%, it actually equals 125%. The best way to do this is take the percent and turn it into a number. So 50% would be 1.5x damage, and you multiply by another 1.5x, and you get 2.25. Takeaway number two, do not tether bosses for whatever reason. It is a waste of time. The only reason you should ever tether a boss is if you're not using heavy weapons, which I don't know why you'd be doing that. And also, another time that tethering a boss is okay is an EP with the waves that have two bosses and you have a bloodbound tether and it shares damage between both of them. That's another good place to use tethers on bosses. But outside of those two things, there's no reason to tether a boss in this game. And the last takeaway is that 6.18x is the highest damage modifier you can get in this game, which is very important because when you're doing a 3-man strike and you have Singe, Heavyweight, a Rift, Melting Point, and Trench Barrel, you're already doing above a 6.18 times modifier, so adding a Tractor Cannon actually makes you lose a lot of damage because it's not even buffing your two teammates' damage because they're already at that modifier as is. So running 3 EP shotguns is way more damage in the long run and in general. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.